Lights, cameras, action. Now let's engage in the dialogue. Let me browse through your mind like a catalog. Conscious metaphysics, allow me to break down the specifics. Educate, motivate. If you don't feel free, you can liberate. An LLC is what I'm building, the #1 podcast in the building. So let me slide on up in the Bentley truck in my Versace shirts. They can't get enough of this deep conversation, expansion, elevation. I'll send you a link you can tap in. It ain't quite what I used to do back then. Now I get it on the front and the back end. Multiple money streams keep coming in. Enlightened, empower, evolve. Enlightened, empower, evolve.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Luke Bryan Smith, and welcome to Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved. You're just in time. I hope everybody's doing well. No, wait a minute. I don't say that anymore. I know everyone's doing well, and I believe and know that everything is unfolding exactly the way it should, perfectly. I'm excited yet again because I enjoy engaging in dialogues with people from around the world, and today is no exception. I have a special guest who is the COO of her daughter's thriving business, Faith and Sparkles, a veteran researcher, a mother, and a whole lot more. Her name is Delisa Abraham. How are you doing today, Delisa?
I am so well. Thank you so much for having me on. And hello, everyone that's tuning in.
Yes. All the way from Toronto, Canada. That's amazing. And I never get tired of highlighting that technology of how we're able to talk to each other, just like we're in the same room and you're in a totally different country. It's just fabulous. I never get tired of that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So
really
let's just get right into it. So your daughter is an entrepreneur. She has her own business, Faith and Sparkles. Tell us a little bit about that. You're the CEO of it. So tell us a little bit about that, how that came to be and what you do.
I do everything else. I just have to make sure her vision comes to life. But it started off when my mom had cancer. So that was the traumatic event. And Faith, my daughter, and our dog Sparkle were there to support her and help her through that process. It was so intense. Faith wanted to be around her. She calls my mom Mama. She wanted to be around her so much that we had to move into the house. She wanted to make sure, are you taking your vitamins? We didn't say it was medication. We called it vitamins. Because she was 2.5 at that time. She was 2.5. And she wanted to make sure, are you eating healthy? Did you get exercise? Because you can't just be sitting still. And when my mom recovered from cancer, Faith saw herself as a superhero doctor. Middle of the night, after her 3rd birthday, she's like, Mom, I'm a superhero doctor. And I'm sleeping, don't want to get up. I'm like, just go to bed. You're not listening to me. This is what she says at 3 years old. And I'm like, okay, now I'm up, right? Because I'm not listening. She called me out and I was like, all right, that's great. So what do superhero doctors do? And then she proceeds to tell me at the end of that conversation, can we do homework? Can we write it down? I want this to be written down. And I said, sure, why not? Not thinking it would be what it is today. And every day for over a month, literally, she would ask me, oh, is it today? Are we going to do this today? Are we going to do this today? And now the pandemic just happened. Everything was starting to shut down for us. So when it shut down, we sat down. I took a video because I wanted this to be a memory for myself and for her. And when she grew up, to say, when you were 3, this is where your mind was at. This is what you wanted to share. This was your message. And I thought that was our only memory to have at that time. And after we finished, it was 8 pages of what a superhero doctor was. And she's telling me the colors she wanted to use, how she wanted the cover to look, what's supposed to be in the book. And then
at 3 years old?
At 3 years old, yeah, she was like, I
Wow,
want
she
all the
really,
colors.
yeah,
Yeah.
her she was already at that
Yes.
age,
Intuitive.
intuitive, already
Mm-hmm.
tuned in. That's
Yes.
amazing. Go ahead. So
Yes. No. And yeah, it's. I was like, okay. So the colors you see, like the blue, the yellows, the reds, that is on our website, and the colors that I use, it really stems from that day when we did we sat down and we wrote the first draft together, right, with her notes. And after she said, Mom, can it be a real book? So I said, sure, why not?
wow.
I didn't think it was going to be a real book. I'm not even going to lie. And so we did this at my mom's dining room table because, as I mentioned, my mom was going through the treatment. She just finished the treatment, so we're still in her home, and
Right.
we're doing this. And I said, sure, why not? And the reason why I said sure, why not, in all honesty, was because I remember being a child, and the first thing you hear is, "No, we can't do this," or "No," yeah, right?
Right, right.
Yes,
Let me interject real quick.
yes,
You just said something very powerful and that I want to highlight. And please don't lose your train of thought. But as 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 children, oftentimes our create intuitive gifts are suppressed, our imaginations are suppressed. No, all we hear is no, no, no. See, we didn't start out that way. We didn't start out with any limited thinking. And that's why your daughter was thinking so freely, and to her everything is possible until we as human beings oftentimes suppress that. So that's why it's very important, and I commend you for just nurturing that within her, because that will um, go a long way with her in life, period. Because then that will cultivate this mindset that I can do whatever I want, because everything starts in the mind anyways. If you think about it, I mean, if I want to break
yes,
it down, everything that you're looking at right now, it started in someone's mind first
right.
before it became a reality. So that is just amazing, an amazing testimony, and thus far an amazing story. And yes, I had to highlight that yes,
No, thank
we
you.
don't need to stunt that growth. Go ahead.
Mhm. And I agree 100%. So I said yes because I wanted her to recognize, and I know some parents, they might they might say, no, 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 we need to protect our children, and we do. But sometimes when we hear the no, it's not from us saying no. It's saying, okay, well, it's not a no, it's this is what we need to flush out. So I went to publishing companies. I did before
Oh
I
wow.
wasn't even thinking self-published at that point. I went to publishing houses and they loved it. They said, this is a great children's book. It could be a series.
Wow.
They thought it was my idea, and I said, no,
Oh,
it is not. It is my daughter. So they thought she was 8, and I said she was 3. And they said, what? And
tapped into her gifts already.
yeah, and
Wow.
it was a self-publishing house, like a publishing company. It was a smaller company
Right.
who, which this woman, her name is Doris, her company was closing down. And she's like, I know a great editor. Like, if you want to go to self-publishing route, I think this is going to be big. Your daughter's message is important. This kindness message, this superhero message, it is so important.
And she
I think,
came up with the, excuse me, she came
yeah,
up with the term superhero doctor.
yes, superhero
Wow.
Dr. Faith. This isn't the bed. I think I said that in the beginning.
That's
Like when
yes,
I
yes.
was
I just had to,
doctor.
I'm just trying to
Yeah,
wrap my head around that, because that's genius.
yeah.
Wow. And it's
And
very inspiring just to
well,
hear that
thank
term,
you.
because it
Yeah,
makes me want to know more. Like, if somebody was just to come up to me and just say that word in my ear, superhero doctor, I'd say, what?
yeah.
What is that? Yeah.
So
So
she, yeah, so that's how we got started. And I got connected with an editor, and the editor really loved it. And she said, this is great, but you have 8 pages. We need more. And I
right,
was like,
right.
well,
We
what do
need
you
more of
mean?
that genius. Right,
Yeah, like you need more information, you need more stuff. So this is when I
right,
went back to faith. So that whole process, and for parents that are listening in, or
right.
even if you don't have children yet, but you will in the future, it's going back and communicating and saying, this is great, we need more. What does this mean? And asking the questions, and then you will see. And so Faith drew on her life. This is what I do as a superheroes. She's like, bandages, like kisses. That's my power. My power is kindness. And I'm like, all right. So the editor has to take all of the things that she said, even about the doctor and her, at the time she was going to a Montessori school, Faith. So she took her experience from in the doctor book, where she asked the teacher for help because someone was hurt. So like that experience is in the book. So all the things that are in her book are things that are based on true events. These are things that she did herself, and she wanted to share that. And of course, we have an editor who makes it sounds great and put it together nicely, because I'm not like this writer.
Yes.
We have an illustrator that really loved the story and like captivated every, like all of the expressions and just the word and the moment. She captured the moment so beautifully. And so, yeah, that's how it got started. And it turned into a book, which I thought, well, it's only going to be family and friends, maybe 50 copies, right?
Right.
I knew nothing about social media. I did not like social media. I was not on social media. I think, I had a Facebook account that one of my friends, my colleagues from work, actually
created for you.
Up for. Yeah, because I did not know anything, and I wasn't posting at that time.
Yes.
And so I knew nothing. So it was like this whole journey. And from thinking it's going to be 50 books, in 2 years, we sold over 2,000 books. So it's a smaller number, but
that's still amazing. I mean, that's, not to compare anything, but that's still an amazing feat, especially coming out of a 3-year-old mind to connect with just 2,000 people. And that's just the beginning. That's because the other 2 million people aren't aware of this book yet. You know what I mean? So yes, you've definitely your daughter has tapped into something. And what I want to say too, I want to commend your daughter a lot. But I also, since I have you here in front of me, want to commend you, because there's some things that you've done to cultivate this within your daughter, to allow her to feel comfortable with her imagination and her creativity. So could you give us just a little bit? I don't want to know everything, all your personal things, but give us a little bit of how you cultivated, that creativity within her.
It started when I found out I was pregnant. I was 5 months pregnant at the time. And I was like, what? There's no way. Like, I didn't anyways. And in that moment, I, in all honesty, looked at myself and said, what type of parent do I want to be? What type of parent am I going to be? I did research, a lot of research, into understanding how different cultures, including our own, around the world, how did they raise their children? How is the firstborn treated? I read works from like the Bible to find out how did they train their children. I looked at kings, emperors, pharaohs, empress. What did they do? How did they do it? How is a lineage continues on knowing that they're in purpose? So that was one of the things I did. And then I started implementing. And also I looked at my own life with my own family, with how I was brought up, how I was raised. And then I looked at which year we're in, because we got to look at the year that we're in. And I took the values, the methods, the strategies to say, okay, this is what can work. This is how you can allow a child to be creative, right? When their subconscious mind is so free and open, what is she listening to? So instead of watching TV when she was a baby, I would actually put on empowered messages or affirmations or very specific music, like the
Absolutely.
classical music that will
Right.
raise the vibration in the home, or that is speaking life. So those life-giving words, because we can't be walking around 24/7, right? Speaking
Exactly.
these things. But if it's already in the home, the vibration from the music, the vibration from the energy from the words are penetrating not only myself, her, the home. And so that is the cultivation. That's how it started. That's how it started to form while I was pregnant. And after she was born, I continued that. And then I started to see what people were saying. Oh, your daughter is so advanced. She
Right.
understands this so
Right.
quickly. I'm like, no, she's normal. Right. So for me, I just saw her as normal. I didn't think she was any more brilliant than anyone else, because
Right.
all I did was use the strategies and the ways of old mixed with, what I've learned and how I was brought up, and as well as this new way
Right.
to help her really tap into her intuition, really be creative, really look into who am I? And that was the foundation of who am I? If you don't
Right.
know who you are, you're so lost. So I wanted
Right.
her to know,
And
who
then
are
she's
you?
powerful.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
Right.
I did not want to be like, this is who you are. This is what you're going to do. Not that there's
Right.
anything wrong with
Right.
that, but I
Right.
wanted to create that atmosphere, create the space for her, hold space for her. And a lot of parents and families don't hold space for their children because they just don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Consciously, they're not there. They're
they're
not
not,
aware of even that concept. And
yes.
I just want to commend you on that, because I can't speak for even, a large portion or everyone, but from my perspectives in my journey, oftentimes, especially in um, my culture and culture of people that originated from Africa and Black people of America, we don't traditionally
Mhm.
we don't cultivate that type of environment for our children. In the past, we've cultivated this scarcity, superstitious, fear-based, really restricted mindset. And that's just amazing that your that's why I love talking to people, because getting different perspectives than my own, because that's amazing that even in your obviously in your upbringing, it was more nurturing in some.
To a degree, yes.
Yes.
I was told that, you can do what you want, but that whole mindset of like going to school, getting a job, if you could work in government, that's great because you'll never be fired, right? It was
Right.
this
Right. Yeah. So same thing here.
thing.
And
Yes.
what I wanted to add in there, fast forward, and then I want you to get back to um, your thought, your mind frame, and sharing with us. But even now, I share with my daughter to look beyond just educating yourself enough to work for somebody, but to really instill in her that entrepreneurial, start my own business, use my gifts, talents, and passions to create something and monetize it. And you can do that because the people that you so-called work for did it. How come you can't? It doesn't stop there. It's not just those people and you. It's you are that. You are that, and you can do that. So, like for instance, and I'll give an example. She's right now, and it can change. Kids change all the time, but
Yeah.
she wants to be a veterinarian. And I said, you know what? From where I am right now, this is what I share with her. I said, you can do whatever you want, but how about this? Focus on being that veterinarian. Do the studies however you want to do it. I'll support you in that. And if you work for a veterinary hospital, absorb all the knowledge that you can, and then, as far as I'm concerned, I'll help you get your own practice going. And then, you can have your own hospital, your own office to practice and hire people, and you be your own boss. So I'm cultivating that, in her. And because I didn't know that, when I was younger, I didn't know anything about that. It was always maybe join the military, or maybe be lucky to get a job here, or a stable job. And I was in there, like you said, there's nothing wrong with that, but that is still hitting a ceiling. It's not allowing you to just flourish wherever you want to. And another thing that stood out, what you said, was reading and doing research in regards to how royalty bring up their kids, how these powerful people bring up their children, what they do. And I've done that too. Just like you mentioned, even the listening to the classical music, that's what I listen to when I read. I listen to Vivaldi and Beethoven and all their compositions. And it does something to the mind, that those instruments and those frequencies that they're using cultivate thinking and creativity. And I learned that on my own, and I didn't know that before. But that's amazing that you have exposed your daughter to that at such a young age, and you can see the outcome already from doing that. So I just commend you, and for doing just such a wonderful job, and for just having the mindset and the consciousness to be able to do that, because we can't do what we don't know, or we're not aware of, and we think that we're doing the right thing by saying certain things. Just like my upbringing, I'm not complaining about it, because it was what I was taught, what my parents knew at the time, and what they thought was right. So there's nothing wrong, and I am happy that I'm elevating from that, and now I'm aware to be at a vantage point where I can see, okay, let's take it another level. That right there, that was this type of mindset, without criticizing it, but just knowing it is what it is, and we can even elevate higher than that, and just being aware of that. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yes. So where are you going with that next? Are you working on another project, or?
Oh my goodness, she had me so busy last year that last year, without us even promoting workshops,
Right.
People reached out to us, organizations reached out to us and asking, we would love Faith to come. We want her to read her book. And then they gave her an hour, right? It's a young girls organization, and for STEM and stuff. And I said, okay, let me ask her, because it would have been older girls from like 7 to 10. And at the time she was 5. Yeah, she just turned 5. So I said, Faith, these are going to be older kids. Do you want to go in? And she's like, yeah, of course. And I said, well, they gave you an hour. So, the reading is probably going to be 5 minutes. What are you going to do? And from that, what are you going to do? That's how we created this whole workshop. And she was like, well, I could show them how they can write a book. And I said, well, how did you write your book? And she's like, well, you need help. And went through that. And from that is how we created this workshop, and it became what it is, because she had to, from that 1 hour that she was given, it turned into 2 hours, but from that 1 hour that they gave her, she had to come up with what she wanted to do, and she separated it in parts. So even if you don't know how to write, it's okay to ask for help. If you don't know, if you think you don't have any idea in your mind, there's always a story. We all have that story. And it was really beautiful to see these young girls taking the time and sharing from their heart, and talking about, like, one young girl, her grandfather just passed, and so she was just sharing, she was feeling sad in that moment, and she wrote a story about her grandfather. And when we had a second workshop later on in the summer, they the young children, it became so intense. It became so intense because
I would imagine.
And so Faith had to leave after 30 minutes.
Right.
Because these kids were talking about these personal stories, and they were talking about, I used to be bullied and now I'm a bully, and I don't like that. And I don't this is not who I am.
She's just from the spark that your daughter started. It helped other people to heal, or to start that process of healing traumas, and because that's how you start to heal.
Yeah.
you tap into it and you get it out, and that's the first process right there, is talking about it and getting it out, and being aware, and for a child to sit there and say that I used to be bullied, but now I am, to be aware enough to know.
Yes.
That right there is amazing right there in itself. So,
and I found that, and it was like, young Black children that that was talking in that particular workshop, and the young boy that said, now I'm a bully, he's like, I don't even like to be a bully, but I get so angry and
right.
I try to walk away and people don't want me to walk away, and so I don't know how. He did not know how to respond, because at
Channel his
home,
anger.
yeah, to channel it, and he didn't
Yeah.
know how to use his voice.
Voice,
And
right.
that's one of the things now we teach, like being able to use your voice to express yourself, to speak
Right.
about what's happening and release it, or write it down in a book. Maybe no one's listening at that time, but write it out, because
But
that
see,
is that release.
again, that's amazing for someone at such a young age to be already working on that, because there are people, a lot older, my age, older, that still struggle with that. So for him
Yep.
to already, him or her to already be working on that, and it's going to go a long ways,
Absolutely.
already identifying that there is a problem, and or something to overcome, and to already have
Absolutely.
awareness of the tools to start working towards a solution. So that's amazing. That's amazing.
And then it expand after the workshop. Faith said to me in August last year, July, August, Mom, I need to go on stage. I need to send my message to thousands of people.
Right.
And I said, okay, great. That's wonderful. And so an opportunity came up and I said, sure, why not? I thought it was in a small group, in a play place. She was going to do a reading. There was going to be some Disney characters there. And after that, after that stage that she was on, she came, we were in the car and she's like, Mom, that's not what I wanted. There was supposed to be a lights, a microphone, a stage, and a chair. All I had was a chair. I didn't have the microphone.
She had it in her mind
Yes.
already,
Like,
visualized
yes.
how it was going to go. And that's
How
one thing, again, I gotta just, you keep saying these little things, and I know that they're amazing, but I have to stop you and highlight it. She's already learning, or have already learned, to use her imagination to see it before it manifests. And that
Yes.
right there is powerful. And she
Very
already
powerful.
feels it and knows it.
Yes. Yes.
See,
And from that, and that's the thing, once it can manifest in the mind, and it's so lovely, and I'm glad you touched on that. It
right.
really shows that now it's attracted. So the
Right.
workshop, I wasn't thinking workshop. I don't think she was thinking workshop. I
Right.
got contacted. The
Right.
speaking engagement, people contacted us to the point where this year alone, she was speaking at 3 educational conferences for private schools and learning pods and micro schools and homeschoolers, where their children and educators are there. And she's talking about the power of kindness and compassion, and how you could shift an environment, even if you're being bullied, even if
And that is
you
true.
have no friends. And so
That is true. I have to
Mhm.
elaborate on that too. And I have to highlight that is true. And it took me a long time, even into, recent memory, recent times, that to really connect with that, because I'm just sharing my experiences. I've allowed people at times to get under my skin, to trigger me. But then I tried the pushing back. I tried
Mhm.
the ego way, but then
Yes.
I tried the way that your daughter is referring to, and it does work.
It works.
It miraculously changes things. I don't know. I can't get into the uh, metaphysical way that
Yeah.
things happen. I can't get that deep into it, but I do know
It works.
it has to do with some type of energy, the ebb
Yes.
and flow, the
Yes.
reaping and sowing, the
Yes.
laws of the universe, whatever it is, it works.
Yeah.
And
It works.
that's
And
amazing.
she saw firsthand, she had no friends when she went to this school. Now she's homeschooled because I took her out. But when
Right.
she was in this class last year and the boy bullied her and called her mean names, she had zero friends. Nobody wanted to be her friend because she was new to the school. She had a book, she did interviews, she did all of these things. And like, so no one really wanted to be her friends because it was hard to relate. And through using her message alone, she saw within 2 months, boom, all of a sudden people wanted to talk to her. It took one. I said, all you need is just one. So at night we did very specific things and it was like her saying, "Oh, I don't like having a friend." I said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Don't use the word I don't like. What it is that you want? What
Go.
type of friend
There
do
you
you
go.
want? What like?" And that
Yes.
shifting your perspective. And
Perspective.
then she said, "Oh, and the boy that but this one bullied me and this one said something mean," and I was like, what was your response? So we even did role play about like sometimes I would be the bully,
Yes.
she's the person, and then she would respond back, and that built up her confidence so that when she was faced with it she would respond, "I'm not
She'd
this,
know how to
are
do it.
you?" Yeah, and then all of a sudden they just shut up. Their mouth was
That's
she does
amazing.
this, she's like
And for those that are listening, I hope you really heard that or run that back, because that was an amazing example of how to even not to cultivate that type of thinking and action, not only within a child, but that can be used for adults as well. And I have to say that I use the role playing method even with myself. Like
yeah.
I'll talk to myself as
Mhm.
if I'm handling certain things that have been um, problems for me,
Mhm.
and then I rework on a different way of how I could respond. Sometimes I'll say the first response, nope, that's not the right one. That's not the one
Yeah.
that's connected with my piece. So
Mhm.
then I
Mhm.
figure out a better way, or
Yes.
even silence. You know,
Yes.
yes, even no
Absolutely.
response. Yes,
Yes. And that is the most powerful. I know we're going to be wrapping up soon, but I just wanted to
yes,
share the
yeah.
reason
We
why
got
she
about
sat
4 more minutes.
4 minutes. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you this in 30 seconds. So
Okay.
then you would see how much her message worked. She put
Right.
her message so much to the test. I'm telling you, when you guys come to our website,
Yes.
it's true. Almost it'll be 3 months now. The
Okay.
same boy that bullied her last year initially,
Right.
he waited, and then he proceeded to threaten her and said some very vile things and mean things to her in the lunchroom. Teacher didn't hear it when they were in the lunchroom, and she sat there. And so I said, "Faith, why didn't you move?" She's like, "I was eating lunch." She's like, and I felt saddened. She's like, I felt sad and I felt like scared at the same time. But I sat there and I ate. So that silence piece, let me tell you, really worked.
It
And she
does.
stayed the rest of the day in the school. She didn't say anything because she thought what he said, the threat that he made, it was real. So she didn't want to like stir anything up. And she told
Right.
me right after school when I saw her. And I said to her, "You are so powerful because you knew what to do." She's like, "But I kept my mouth closed." And I said, "You did the best thing because you don't
That's
know if your
power.
mind was out."
Right.
And you stood, even though when he said what he said, you sat right there. He kept talking, but you sat right there and you ate your lunch. You were scared and sad,
And
but that's
see,
what you did.
let me just elaborate on that. We're down to about 2 minutes.
2 minutes, yes.
Um, See, oftentimes when you're silent, that leaves the other person not knowing what to think because you're not verbalizing anything. So they get confused. And oftentimes that backs people away when they don't know, like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
You know? And it also not just to back people away, but it's actually brings you peace when you're not uh,
Engaging.
engaging and getting down on their level. Yes, and now before we go, I want to make sure share that website while we're on here to connect with this wonderful book and everything. Tell us ways to get it and everything.
Absolutely.
Website,
So
yeah.
get on the website, Faith and Sparkles World. There's an S at the end of sparkles.com. When you get on there, you will see our empowerment merchandise, our t-shirts, our sweaters. The books are on there to empower your children. We even have free resources. We have mind traps for children. We have superhero, like they could cultivate who's their superhero within themselves and the characteristics that they want. We have the tools, I am affirmations, empowerment messages. So you could download, it's free, they're PDF, you could just have it on your phone or iPad or whatever, and then they can look at it. We also have our workshops, we have mentorship program. Faith does a lot of speaking engagements, as I've said, and it's just absolutely incredible. She was also, it's incredible to see what she's doing. And I'm like, here, there are days I'm like, what? But get online, faithandsparklesworld.com, share it, and support. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes. Delisa Abraham, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for tuning in to Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved. Be sure to visit the website, 333empower.com, and hit that like button, that subscribe button, whatever platform you're viewing and or listening to this on. Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone. Thank you again, Delisa. We'll see you soon. Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved.